Now we are going to look at how to change the display color, this background color in Autocad. So if you do not like this background color when you are working, you can change it to a desired color. So to do that, you need to right click on your workspace, then move to options. There you have to move to display tab, and from there to colors section. There under 2D model space context, under interface element, uniform background, this is the default color given by the Autodesk. So if you want to change this color, you can change it to a color like white if you like, then click apply and close. It will change to this color. So if you do not like that color, let us say if you like black color, you can try that as well. So if none of that work, and if you like to maintain the initial colors or default colors for the uniform background, just click restore current element, then it will restore the default color. So that is how to set the background color in Autocad. Finally, you can click apply and close and click OK to accept the color for your uniform background. Here we are looking at a user related setting in Autocad, that is adjusting the mouse and pickbox. So you can see in my mouse location you can see a crosshair, a cross. So we call this crosshair in Autocad. So when you are drafting, this crosshair size is not enough for you. You can change it to a desired size. In addition to that, in the middle of the crosshair you can see a small box. We call it the pickbox. So if that pickbox size is not enough or it is too big, you can adjust that as well. So to access that, we will right click on your mouse and go to options. There you have this display tab, and using the display tab you have to go to this crosshair size, and let us say you need to increase the crosshair size to, let us say, 25, like here. Okay, otherwise you can type 25 here and you press enter. Now you will see my crosshair size increases. So you can use the comfortable size. To set the pickbox, you have to again go to the options, go to the selection tab here. There you have this pickbox. So when I increase this size, it will automatically increase in size. You can see it on the screen. So I click OK. Now you will see my pickbox size is also increased. This is how to adjust your crosshairs and pickbox when you are drafting in Autocad. Now we are moving to an important part of Autocad, that is setting units. Everything you do in Autocad is related to units. So far we did everything without considering the units. Even we measured something, we thought about having this much of units without considering the exact value, whether it is 5 millimeters, 5 centimeters, 5 meters, so like that. So now we are going to setting up the units in Autocad. To access units you have two ways. So you can go to application menu, click here, then go to drawing utilities, then there you have drawing units. From here you can call drawing units. So the easiest way to access units is type UN on your command line. It stands for units. You type UN and press enter. It will display the current drawing units in your drawing. So these units are solely depends on the user. So if you want to use inches, you can set this to inches. If you want to use millimeters, you can set it to millimeters. Otherwise, if you want to get some others, you can use those units. On the other hand, this part considers how the length displays in drawing. So if you are using millimeters, if you set decimal units, it will show the length measurement up to 2 decimal degrees. You can otherwise set to 3 decimal degrees like that. If you are using feet and inches, let us say you are using feet, you can set it to this architectural units where you can see the measurements using feet and inches. So I will set this to millimeters and set this to decimal with 2 precision. And when you are considering the angles are measured in decimal degrees and it will show up in 4 degree precision. So you can set other things as well, like degrees, minutes, seconds, and you can set the precision. So I will set this to degrees here, and here this clockwise means to what directions the angles are measured. So when you are measuring angles, what is the positive direction? It is what says here. So currently we have clockwise unchecked. That means the angles are measured in anti-clockwise direction. It means the angles are measured in this direction, right? So if you want to measure the angles on the other way, you can check this box. But by default and usually we are measuring angles to this side, so we will keep the defaults. So if you go to this direction here, it will show the what is the direction control for angles. So currently the direction control for angles is east as the base direction. That means east direction will act as the 0 degree angle and it will be going anti-clockwise direction by counting positive angles. If you need, you can change this base angle direction, but we are not going to change those things. So that is how to set the drawing units on your drawing. Here we are going to look at another important factor in AutoCAD, that is dynamic input. So before moving to that, we will draw these 2 lines displayed in this image on our AutoCAD screen. First, I have to make sure my units are millimeters because these are given in millimeters. So to verify that, I will type UN on my command line and make sure my units are millimeters. So I click OK. So now I am creating the lines. You can create the line using line command, or also you can use polyline command. I will use the line command. You can either use this option or otherwise you can click the shortcut key, which is L on your command line. So I will start the line from here. So I make sure my auto mode is on, then I will get a straight line like this. So I will type 1000 on my command line to get a 1000 millimeter line and press enter, and it will give you a 1000 millimeter line. So I will end the command by pressing enter. So let us say I am going to draw the next line. So I do the same. I do it in the same way. I click here to launch the line command. So I'll start somewhere from here. To this way I will type 500. So it will give you 500 millimeter line. Now I want to go to the 20 degree angle for a 500 millimeter length. Now my auto is distracting me, so I will turn off auto here. Now I want to get 20 degree angle. So if you want to snap to angles, the best way is to use the polar tracking. So I will turn on polar here, polar tracking. So I will move here. It is saying my angle is, you can see on the tooltip, it is saying my angle is 10. So I will click one more time. It will snap to 20-degree angle. So what I need to do is type 500. So it will go 500 millimeter along that line. So I will type 500 and press enter. So press enter again to end the command. So you get this 500 millimeter line and this 500 millimeter line. So this was little bit cumbersome because you have to turn off several commands on and off throughout this process. So now I am going to tell a easy way to do this. So I will delete these lines. I select them and press delete on my keyboard. So this time I will turn on my dynamic input. So dynamic input is somewhere here, dynamic mode. So you have to click here. So if it is not here, you can go to this customization and go to dynamic input and make sure you have a check mark on it. So it will appear here on the status bar. Now I relaunch the polyline line command again. So I will start somewhere here. Now you can see instead of when I move the cursor, a length display is showing at the top. You can see it is dynamically updating when I move the cursor. That is we called the dynamic input. So it will automatically shows our lengths and also angles while we are moving our cursor. I want to have 500 millimeter length, so I will type 500 millimeter. So you will see it is typing at the cursor location. Then I press enter. Now what I need is 500 millimeters with a 20-degree angle. So what I do is first I will type 500. So then without pressing the enter key, I will press tab key. I will press tab key. So it will move to the angle location. First I gave the length, now it moves to the angle location. For the angle I will type 20 and press enter. So it will automatically give a line with 500 millimeter length at a 20-degree angle. So you can see with dynamic input turn on, you can access or you can draft things very easily. So to turn off dynamic input, you can press this key, or otherwise you can press F12 key on your keyboard. So if you press F12 key, you will see that icon turns back to gray without turning on. So that is how to use dynamic input and turn on off dynamic input. Now we are going to draft some objects using the things we have learned so far. So during this drafting, we will be using the things we learned, and also sometimes we will be using additional workflows or commands as well. So first I am going to draft these objects using the dimensions given here. So before doing anything, I have to make sure that my drawing is in millimeters. So I will type UN in my command line to access units. So I verify my units are millimeters and click OK. So I start using the line command. So you can do this in various ways. First I will do this using the line command. So I type L on my keyboard. So you can see now my typing is happening near the cursor because my dynamic input is turned on. So I press enter, and I also make sure my auto is turned on because I have horizontal and vertical lines. So I start somewhere here. Now I have to go to 1000 millimeters to the right side. I type 1000 and press enter. Now it goes to 1000 millimeters. So I get some space by panning to the left side. Now I have to go to downside 100 millimeters. I type 100 and press enter. Now I have to go to another 500 millimeters to the right side. I type 500 and press enter. Now I have to go to 800 millimeters downside. I type 800 and press enter. So while you are typing 800, make sure you are going downside with your mouse cursor, and I press enter. Now that part is okay. Now I have to come to the left side, that is 500. So I type 500 and press enter. Now I have to go downside another 100 millimeters. So I pan to make it little bit upward. Now I go 100 millimeters downside. Next I have another 1000 millimeters to the left side. Then I type 1000 and press enter. Finally you have another 1000 millimeter to the upward or the north direction. Instead of typing 1000 millimeters, I am just clicking here to close this object using the object snaps. So it will close the object, and I press enter to end the commands. Now I have created that object using the line command. So if I select this line, only one line will be selected. So if this is a complete single object, I can join these lines to make it a one single object. So to do that, I will run my join command. I type J on my keyboard to launch the join command. Then I press enter. Now I have to select the objects I need to join. So I select all these objects. Make sure you are selecting only the objects you need to join. Then I press enter. Now if you select, you can see all the lines are now selected, but now this line is a polyline because you have multiple lines connected to it. So on the other hand, instead of using the line command, you can directly complete this object using the polyline command as well. So let us do it quickly. So before doing that, I will erase this object. So to erase this object, either you can press delete after selecting the object, otherwise you can go to this erase command and select this line and press enter to delete. So now I launch my polyline command. I type PL on my cursor location and I start the command. So I start from here, 1000 to the right side, 100 millimeters to the downside, 500 to the right side, then 800 downside, again 500 to the left, downside another 100 millimeters, to the left 1000 millimeters. This time, since we are using the polyline command, you can finish the polyline to connect to the initial location using the close command, or pressing C on your keyboard, or click this close here. So once you click this close here, it will automatically close this polyline from the last point to the initial point. Now you can see it is already created the same thing using the polyline. Now we are going to create another object using the dimensions illustrated here. You can see this is kind of a frame. We called it a window frame. You can see you have a bigger rectangle and you have some smaller rectangles. So I am going to recreate this using the dimensions specified here. So first of all, I will create the bigger rectangle outside. So you can see it has length 914.4 to this side and another 914.4 to the other side. So I will do this using the line command. So I type L on my keyboard and make sure your auto is on. So I start somewhere here and I go this side 914.4 and I press enter. Now I am going downside. It is also 914.4, and go to the other side, 914.4, and finally I go upside and click to finish the command and get the rectangle. So I did this using the lines because now I can do this. I can use offset command very easily. There are many more several ways to do these things, but this is only one way. So you can see now to this side we have 13.8.1 offset. So now I have finished the bigger rectangle. Now I am going to create this smaller rectangle inside. So that is 13.8.1 offset to this side and another 13.8.1 to this side, and the length of that line is here. You can see it is 406.4. So first I will offset 38.1 meter. So I typed offset command, then I type 38.1. You can see my typing is near the cursor because my dynamic input is turned on. So I press enter. Now I offset this to this side, and I have the same distance to this side, so I can use just one as well. And since this is not specified, that means this has the same dimensions. So I will move to this side also, then I press enter. So after that I have to mark this dimension. Instead marking, I will use 406.4 offset from this line to downward. So I call my offset command, typing O on my keyboard and press enter. Then what is the offset distance? This is the offset distance, 406.4. I press enter. Now I select this object and move downward and press enter. So now part of the object is now already created, but we have some additional lines here. So what I do is I will use my trim command to remove those additional lines. So to launch the trim command, either you can press TR on your keyboard, otherwise you can press trim from here. So I press trim. Make sure your trim mode is set to quick, and once you have to click quick, and once you I set the screen for a good view. Now you can remove these additional lines to make it a better rectangle. So I will remove those additional parts here also. Now I press enter. So now the second rectangle is also completed. The next rectangle, you can see it is at a 25.4 distance to this side and 25.4 to distance to the other side. So you can easily use the normal offset command. Otherwise you can make this a rectangle and use the offset command. So we will make this a rectangle and use the offset command. So I click join command to join those lines. I click J and press enter. Now I select these lines to join them and I press enter. Now they have become a one polyline. So now I launch my offset command. This time I will launch it from the ribbon, and my offset distance is 25.4. Then I select this object and go inside to offset 25.4 to the inside. So quickly in the same way I will do this rectangle as well. You can see this offset is 50.8 and this is 38.1. To this side it is 25.4. Sorry, it is same as the other side for the first rectangle, between the first and second rectangles, but inside you have the one offset. So I will launch the offset command. This is 50.8 and come to this side and I press enter, and I can do the same for the other side as well. I forgot. So I will relaunch the offset command by pressing my space bar, and it is already in the memory my last value, so I press enter to accept that value, and I do the same to the other side as well and press enter. So I relaunch the offset command by pressing space bar. Now this time my offset is 38.1. Now I press enter and offset to the top side. I press enter. Now my length to this side is 506.4. So I use offset command again, and this time I type 406.4 and offset to the top side and press enter. Now my rectangle is completed. I will remove the additional lines. I launch my trim command. This time I will use this line, 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 and this line, and I press enter. But you can see, because we have some additional lines here without trimming, so that is because of the quick trim mode. So I will erase these lines from this erase command. We'll use this one and this one to erase and press enter. So now I will convert this to a rectangle using the join command. I relaunch join command from entering J and select these objects and press enter. Now it is already a rectangle. Now you have to offset 25.4. So I launch the offset command, type 25.4 and come inside. Now this object is completed. So this is how to create that frame using the commands we learned. Now we are going to model this object using the commands we learned earlier, as well as sometimes we will use a new command as well. So first of all, I will create this rectangle. So I will launch the rectangle command from here, and I will start somewhere here to draw the rectangle. To give dimensions, I will go to the command line and select dimensions. Otherwise, you can press D on your keyboard, the letter highlighted in the blue color. So I click this dimensions. It is asking what is your length. It is 1524, and I press enter. When it is asking your width, this is 914.4. So I give the width as 914.4 and press enter. Now it is asking at what side you need to get the rectangle. You can go upward or downward. So I come to downward side and click. So it will create the rectangle for us. Now the rectangle is okay. Now you need to create these other parts. So since this is one object, and you can see these are offsets we have to get. Now this is one object. So if you have lines, it is easy to make these offsets. So what I do is I will explode these things. Explode the rectangle. So I select the explode command and select the rectangle and press enter. Now it is become single lines. Now I will give the offset. This offset 101.6, and you have the same offset to the other side. So I launch the offset command, type O on my keyboard and press enter. My offset distance is 100.1, 101.6 and press enter. So I use that offset to this side and from the bottom to top and left to right and press enter. So if you come to this side, this offset is 457.2. So I will mark that offset 2. Then press enter. So I will remove these additional parts. I launch the trim command and I will remove these additional parts. and this part is also not needed. I will remove that as well. Then I press enter. Then you need to create this arc. This is a arc. So we don't know this is half rectangle. So better to consider this as an arc. So I launch this arc command. So I know the first point and the second point of the arc and the radius of the arc. So from this drop down, you need to find that the option that supports your known points. You have start, end and radius. You know start, end and radius. So I select this option and select this end point because my object snap is turned on, and select the other end point, and it is asking the radius. So I will type 355.6. Now it came to the other direction. Once I click, it came to the other direction. So I want to go it to the other side. What I do is I will launch my mirror command here, mirror command, and I will select this object to mirror and right click. Now my mirror line is this line. Now I want to erase this other object because I don't want that one. So I press yes to erase that object. Now it is going to the other side. So there are a lot of several ways to do this in one time, but I am going to teach you various commands, right? So now this part is completed. Now what we have to do is get these circles in the center of this area. So it is from a 228.6 offset from this side and 457.6 457.2 offset from the other side. So I launch my offset command and press enter. Now my value is 222.28.6 from the left side, and I press enter. I relaunch the command. Now my value is 457.2 from the top, and I come downward, and this is the place we join our thing. Now I have to draw two circles where radius of one circle is 25.4 and the other is 38.1. So I launch my circle command. So if you like, you can go to this way. You know the center and you know the radius. So I use this option. I click this center point, make sure now it is highlighting a midpoint, but I need the intersection point of this line. So I press my tab key. Now intersection is highlighted. Now I click. Now I need to specify the radius. So now I type my radius as 25.4. Now I relaunch the command again because I need to have another circle here, space. Now my center is here. I use my tab key to get the required snap. This center snap is also okay because we need the same center from the other one. So I click here. Now my radius is 38.1. Now I finished drafting the lines. Now what I want to do is I want to delete these extra lines. So I click launch my trim command and I will delete these extra lines. And I don't need these small parts as well. And I press enter to finish the command. Now you can see we have another one remaining. So I will select this one and press delete without using the trim command. So here you can see now I have created that object using the dimension specified in the image. So it is another way how to use the commands and tools we used in the earlier session of this series. Now we are going to create another object using the drafting tools and commands we learned so far. So I will first launch my line command, and I will first draw this center line. I will start from somewhere here and I go upward. It is 671.63 and press enter. Right, then here you have to go 609.6. I come here and I go this way because auto mode is turned on. Press enter. Now I want to go downward. Now I launch the line command again. I need to go downward 39.57. I go downward 39.57 and press enter. Now I have this line. So to the right side, to the left side, I want to go 152.4. Then I press enter again. Now to the top side, I need to go 660.4. 660.4 and I press enter to finish. Now I need to mark this 572.27. So I have to mark it from the bottom. So, but I need to mark it from here. This time we will use a new method to create this line, because I need to find the length of this line because it is given from this point. So I have to subtract 39.57 from 572.27. For this task we will use the calculator. You type quick calc on the command line. So you got this command line suggestion, quick calc. So you will get the calculator. So what you do is you subtract 572.27 minus 39.57. It will give you the answer as 532.7. So I will launch my line command and I will click here and 532.7 I mark and press enter. So I will close my calculator. Now I have finished one part. So if you consider this part, it is similar to this part. So what I do is I will use the mirror command. So I will click mirror here and select the objects you need to mirror. You can select all these objects, then press enter to accept. Now your mirror line would be this one, and you don't want to erase this side because you need the source objects as well. So I click no here. Now I completed half of the design. Now I need to create this arc. So I don't have any radius information, but if you look closely, you have 3 points. You know that where this arc is created. So you go to the arc mode, click this drop down, select this 3-point arc. You have to click this endpoint, and this endpoint you have your object snaps turned on and come to this point. Now your arc is completed. Now you have to create this next arc. So this arc is 152.4 offset from the first arc. So without using the offset command, what we use is first extend this line up to 152.4. So instead of extending, what I do is I will mark another line with 152.4 length. So I launch my line command, select this endpoint. So even this is endpoint, or even you can select the intersection point. I go upwards, it's 152.4 and press enter to finish command. And now I do is I have 3-point arc here. So I click this 3-point arc, click this point, and finally this point to create the arc. So I don't want this line here, and there's one more line to be created here, but you can see there is no detail how to create this line. So that is happening in actual world. Sometimes you will have not enough dimensions. In that case, you have to consult the person who give this to you and say, hey, you are not giving me all the details, please give this detail. So these are happening in the real world. So I purposely made that so that you get that kind of experience. Now we are going to create another object using the AutoCAD commands we used and with some new commands as well. So I will start from the center. I have a curve here with a radius of 25.4 and a radius of 38.1. So I launch the circle command and I select some center point, and my radius is 25.4 and I press enter. Now I have another circle with a radius 38.1. I launch the same circle command, and this time I need to snap to the center. So my centers, make sure your center snap is turned on. Make sure your center snap is turned on. Now my center snap is turned on. So I click here. Now my radius is 38.1. Now that part is completed. So next we have 3 circles, but actually they are not circles. They are ellipse or oval shaped circles. So to create that one, we need to go to this ellipse option and click this one, center. So we are going to snap to the center. Now it is asking endpoint axis length over the endpoint. So you have to give the endpoint on this axis. You can see this one is 188.48. So I type 188.48 and press enter. Now it is getting this angle. It is asking for the length on the other side. It is 153.33. 153.33. I enter. Now my ellipse is completed. So then you have to have another 2 ellipses. You cannot use the offset command because these offset values are different in this area and this area. So instead I will use this same ellipse command, but we will be adding this length to get this one. So I launch this ellipse command and I start from the center, and my distance, this time I have to give some addition of the distance. Earlier we used the quick calculator to get these distances. This time, instead of giving the quick calculator, I will do the calculations inside the command. So to access the calculator inside, I will type apostrophe cal. You can see it in my cursor location, apostrophe cal. Then I press enter. Now it is asking my expression. So my expression is 188.48 plus 98.17. Then I press enter. Now this part is okay. Now go to the other side. I do the same apostrophe cal. This time 153.33 plus 79.13 and press enter. Right. Now I move to the other ellipse. So I move the command, and this time I will select the rect center. I move apostrophe cal and 188.48 plus 98.17 plus 24.14, and to the other side use apostrophe cal 153.33 plus 79.13 plus 20.08 and press enter. Now that part is also completed. Now we have to have 2 more lines here. So I create my line command, launch my line command. From here I go to the top. So it is hard to get. I will zoom in. Now it is hard to get the vertical line, so I will stop somewhere here and press enter, and I get another one and stop somewhere here. Now what I do is I will launch the extend command first. Extend command. Now I will launch extend command and here. Now I want to trim these lines. So what I do is I will press my shift key and click these lines. It will trim off. You can easily trim off the other part. Now our object is completed. So that is how to use the basic and additional commands to create this object from AutoCAD drafting tools. So now we are going to create one last object to complete this practice object creation using AutoCAD commands and tools we learned. So you can see we have a big rectangle here, 672 and 406.4. I will create that rectangle, launch from here, rectangle command, and I start somewhere from here, and I will give the dimensions, length 762 and width 406.4, and I will click somewhere downside to accept the rectangle. Now I have finished my first part. So now I want to create this rectangle. This is 304.8 and this is 330.2. So I am doing it in a separate way this time. First I will create this rectangle. So I create this rectangle from this, starting from this corner. Now I give my dimensions. I type T on my keyboard to give the dimensions. Press space bar. My length is, let us say this side 304.8 and other side 330.2. So I have my rectangle. I click downwards to accept that one. So now what I do is I will move this rectangle to the correct location. So along this way you have to move to 127. Along vertically you have to move 25.4. So I launch my move command. I type M on my keyboard and press enter, or otherwise press space bar. I select this object and press space bar. So I am going to move it from here and I am going to move this way on the horizontal direction. It is 127 units, also 127 millimeters. Now it moved to that way. Now I relaunch my move command, type M and select the object, select this end point. Now I am going to move this way. Now it is vertically going downwards. My moving distance is 25.4. You can see now it is moved by 25 point move to the in the vertical direction and 127 to the horizontal direction. Now this part is completed. Now I am going to create this rectangle. So I will create another rectangle on this side and move to this side. So I launch my rectangle command, come this way, and it will be coming like this, and I will be giving the dimensions here, and my length is 76.2 and my width is 228.8. Now I will click this lower left to accept that rectangle. Now I will move this. I press move command, select the object, select this from this corner. On this side I will be moving it 228.6, 228.6. Then I want to lower it down. I relaunch the move command, press here. I want to lower it down by 25.4 millimeters. Now I created that part as well. Now I am going to create this rectangle part without this leg. So first I need to create this, find this point. So first I have to offset this line upwards. Since this rectangle is already exploded, I can offset to upside. So I relaunch the offset command. 50.8 is the offset we required. So we offset this here. So now we want to have 76.4 distance upward. So what I do is I relaunch the polyline command. So I snap to here. Using the object snap tracking, I will come down to here. This is where I start the line. I click here to start the line. Now I am going upward 76.2. Now I move to the right side. It is 279.4. And I am coming back 76.2 and press enter to finish the command. So now I will delete this line. This is because I don't want it. I will press select it and delete that. Now I am going to create this rectangle part. It is from a offset of 25.4. So the size of this rectangle is 50.8 to this side and this side, both sides. So this is how I am going to draw it. So I click rectangle command. So I put my mouse cursor here, but this is not the location I want to start. I am coming back to this side because my object snap tracking is turning on. It is going along this line. So now I want a 25.4 distance. I type 25.4. That on that point 25.4 to this side. Then I press enter. Now it catches that point. Now I am going to create that rectangle. I type dimensions 50.8 and 50.8. Now I will click this side, click this upper side to get that rectangle. Now I am going to create the smaller rectangles. I am using the same method I found used to create this rectangle, but these dimensions are 25.4 each side. So I relaunch the rectangle command. This time I am starting from, I am not going to click, I am just holding my mouse cursor here. Now I am going this way. It should be 25.4 meter distance, and now it is starting from here. Now I am going to give the dimensions. It should be 25.4 both sides, and I am clicking downwards to accept the rectangle, but still I want to move this downward by 25.4 millimeters. So I launch my move command and select this one and press space bar. Now I am going to move this from this grip or this edge. I click here and I am going downward 25.4 millimeters and done. So now I want to have similar copies of the rectangles, 5 to this side and 5 to bottom side. So you can do it in two ways. One way is you can use the array command. The other one is you can use the copy command. I am going to use the copy command to create these objects. So I launch my copy command from here, select this object and right click. So I click this corner as my base point. Now I copy this to make it 5 objects and press enter to close that one. So now I can launch copy command again and select all these objects to copy them downward. So I launch my copy command again. And I select this one, right click and use this base point and move it to the downside and press enter. Now that part is also completed. Now I am going to create this part. I am going to create this part using a polyline. So I will launch my polyline command. So I am going to go to this end point. I am not clicking there. Now I am going to upwards using the object snap tracking. Make sure your object snap trackings are turned on. So I want to go to have 76.2 meter length upward. Now it's okay. Now I am starting it from here. Now I will turn off my auto because it is giving me problems. Now I want to get this angle. So to get the angles, you can use the dynamic inputs. When you have dynamic input, it is considering the rotating direction as the positive angle. It is not considering the anti-clockwise direction as the positive angle. But if you coming from this way to this way, it is considering that side as the positive angle. So this is the base angle 0 to the east direction. Now when you come to this way, you have 90 degrees plus another 45 degrees here. So altogether that should be 135 degrees. So to get the angle, I will first press tab key. Now you will get the angle. Now this angle is 135. So now after having 135, I will press the tab key again. Now my angle is locked. What I have to do is give the length. So my length is here 71.84. 71.84 and press enter. Now that is completed. Now you have to go this way. It is 25.4 millimeters. I press enter. Now to upwards you have to go. Now I am going upwards using the object snap tracking. It's 101.6. Now this time I want to go to a angled direction. So this angle is, even though this is 135, from the base angle point it is 45 degrees. So from this base angle it will be 45 degrees. I will first press tab key here to access the angles. Then I will have 45. I am not pressing enter. I will press tab again. Now I am on a 45 degree angle. My length is 35.92. That is completed. Now I am going to the upward direction. It is 101.6. Now I am going outside. This angle is now 135. So this time I will first type my length 35.92. Then I will press tab key to get the angle. This angle is 135. I press enter now. Again using object snap tracking, I will move 101.6 upward and coming to the right side 25.4 using the object snap tracking, and coming downward with an angle. This angle is 45 degrees downward. 45 degrees downward. If you see the geometry, you can identify that one. So I will have a length of 71.84. I will type the length first this time, and I press tab key and type my angle as 45 and press enter. Now your object is finished. So this is how to draft various objects using Autocad. So there may be easier ways than this to create objects, but as a beginner this is a good way to practice. But with time you will learn more efficient ways to do these things, and we will finish this drafting objects, and this is the final object we are going to draft. And we have used many commands throughout this drafting series.